This video will explain the uses of the PNP command. PNP, meaning plug and play, is a command that connects components using an interface when components are moved close together. We will now connect some conveyor belts using the PNP command. Go to the eCatalog window, Models by Type, Conveyors, and drag and drop two conveyor onto the 3D world. Next, go to the Home tab, click PNP under Manipulation, and select a conveyor. Dragging the blue-colored ring allows you to change the orientation of the selected component on its z-axis. Dragging the inside of the blue-colored ring allows you to move the selected component. When a selected component can be connected to another using the PNP command, the interface will show a yellow triangle mark. Dragging the conveyor towards conveyor number 2 will display a green arrow going from the conveyor interface to the conveyor number 2 interface. Moving the conveyor even closer will move the conveyor so that the interfaces overlap. When a component is connected using the PNP command, the color of the interface will change to green. When connecting components using the PNP command, make sure the interfaces all have the same orientation. Move the conveyor and conveyor number 2 away from each other to disconnect the components. Change the orientation of conveyor as shown on the screen, and then drag it towards conveyor number 2 again. As you try to connect them, the green arrow mark does not appear. The components cannot connect because the interfaces have different orientations. Go to the eCatalog window, Models by Type, and onto the 3D world, drag and drop a turntable conveyor from conveyors and a basic feeder from feeders. Go to Manipulation and click PNP, and connect the 3D world components in order of basic feeder, conveyor, turntable conveyor, and conveyor number 2. As you can see, the conveyor and the turntable conveyor have different interfaces. An interface with one triangle mark, like the conveyor interface, is called a one-way interface. When connecting components that both have a one-way interface, you need to make sure the interfaces all have the same orientation as shown before connecting the conveyor. An interface with two triangle marks, like the turntable conveyor interface, is called a two-way interface. Triangle marks facing into the component are loading entrance interfaces for transporting products onto the component. Triangle marks facing out of the component are loading exit interfaces for transporting products off the component. When connecting these interfaces, connect an interface facing outwards with an interface facing inwards. A two-way interface is an interface that has both an inwards and outwards facing interface. Therefore, when an interface is brought closer, that interface will automatically connect to other interfaces that are nearby with the same orientation. You can also connect by disconnecting conveyor number 2 and reversing its orientation, then bringing another conveyor number 2 interface towards the turntable conveyor. Return conveyor number 2 back to its original orientation. Play the simulation. Products generated with the basic feeder are transported to conveyor number 2 via the turntable conveyor. If the interfaces are not connected, the product will not be transported. Drag conveyor number 2 with PNP selected under manipulation away from the turntable conveyor to disconnect them. Go to the Home tab, Manipulation, and click Move. Drag conveyor number 2 towards turntable conveyor. Using the Attach command, physically connect the turntable conveyor with conveyor number 2. With conveyor number 2 selected, go to Hierarchy and click Attach, and select the turntable conveyor to attach it. Clicking PNP under Manipulation and dragging the turntable conveyor will also make the attached conveyor number 2 move. Play the simulation. The turntable conveyor and conveyor number 2 have not been connected by the interface. Therefore, the generated products will stop at the turntable conveyor. Next, we will connect parts to a robot using the PNP command. This time, we will connect 4 parts. Go to the eCatalog window, Models by Type, and onto the 3D world, drag and drop a generic articulated robot from Visual Components under Robots. A robot transport controller from Visual Components under PM Transport Controllers. A robot floor track from Visual Components under Robot Positioners. And a parametric box gripper from Visual Components under Robot Tools. Go to the Home tab, Manipulation, click PNP, and drag the generic articulated robot towards the robot transport controller to connect them. By connecting them, the robot transport controller becomes the parent node and the generic articulated robot becomes the child node. Therefore, when the robot transport controller is dragged, the generic articulated robot will also move. When connecting an additional component between both already connected components, you will need to temporarily disconnect these components. In this explanation, we will connect a robot floor track in between the generic articulated robot and the robot transport controller. Drag the generic articulated robot away from the robot transport controller to disconnect them. Drag the generic articulated robot towards the robot floor track pedestal and connect them together. Then, drag the robot floor track towards the robot transport controller to connect them. By doing this, we have connected the generic articulated robot, the robot floor track, and the robot transport controller. This section will now explain the orthographic function. The orthographic function displays components on the 3D world orthographically when selected. Orthographic projection is one method of displaying a three-dimensional object in a two-dimensional view, allowing for an accurate representation of an object's shape, height, width, and depth. When components cannot be connected using the PNP command even when moved close together, this may be improved by selecting the orthographic function. This concludes the explanation on how to connect components. Thank you for watching.